The Inheritance, and What's in Your Hands at the Atlantis Theater, Paradise Island. Saturday, December 7th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are now on sale for $40 each. You can get yours at Moncur Fashion, Carmichael Road, opposite Scotiabank, or All Seasons Book and Gift Center, Palmdale Shopping Center. Dress code is smart casual. The shows are rated B. Okay, so for inquiries, you can email DERICS productions@gmail.com or call 436-6405. That's 436-6405. Don't miss this unforgettable cinematic experience. All right. If you have now, this is what this I want to give away a ticket for this particular show. I told Dario, you can be on the show doing live reads and have these nice juicy commercials on and don't give at least one listener a ticket. So of course he agreed to it. So if you've just gotten divorced, all right, this year we want the first person to text or WhatsApp the number 376-8689. That's 376-8689. And the ticket to attend Dario Eric's A Night of Short Films for December 7th will be yours. But I want you to text recently divorced. That's it. That's all you have to text. And that's the first person who have just gotten a divorce within the year. Okay. Beats, were you able to find the flyer? Okay, so we're gonna have that. The number again to text is 376-8689. If you have recently divorced and you want to go to this production, listen, everything about they call him the Bahamian Tyler Perry. I honestly think he's better than Tyler Perry, and that's just my opinion. But he's really good. All right, and you want to go, you'll laugh, you'll cry. He has wonderful people that are actors and actresses that are there that support him 100%. Beat, you good? Wait, Peach needs some water. Y'all gotta pray for Beach. Y'all pray for Beats. Yeah, so we're gonna go straight into the guest introductions. All right. So the last time this particular guest was here, our guest, Coach Ricardo Miller, he was here on the show mid-year review on living life effectively. That's episode 102. So if you know anything about Coach Ricardo, he don't just come with little things. He come with big um thoughts and insights that have you just wanting to glean for more information from him. You want to go and watch that show if you haven't already. It's episode 102, mid-year review on living life effectively. And this particular show would help you tremendously for those who are planning their goals for 2025. Go ahead and watch it. In fact, he's probably going to be back with us January, God's willing, to help us to navigate 2025. All right, so that's my little hint there. I don't know if he got it, but I know he received it at some point. He's going to receive that. All right, so Ricardo Miller was born and raised in the Bahamas and became an American citizen in 2010. He has dedicated 27 years to training and developing leaders in children's ministry and church leadership development. He has collaborated with esteemed Christian leaders like Dr. Tony Evans, and as a certified life coach and CEO of Effective Living LLC, Ricardo, known as Coach Ricardo, shares his expertise through writing with 5 books to his name. Ricardo served as the children's pastor at Pathway of Life Church in Dallas until 2019 and currently holds the position of Operations and Development Pastor. Coach Ricardo is married to Karen and they have 2 children, RJ and Grace. Now, at the almost at the end of the show, he has literally helped us, y'all. Like he's gracious enough to introduce me to one of his friends. And of course, at the end of show, we're gonna have her on board so that we can balance the perspective of dating after divorce. Yes, Coach has been coaching other people about this, so he has, the an idea of what women and men would think about this particular topic. However, it's still nice to hear from a woman, right? We want that balanced thoughts, and I'm most certain that what they say is going to actually balance. All right, at some point you're going to hear from a male's perspective of dating after, and then you're going to hear from a female's perspective from dating after divorce. All right, so we're waiting patiently for Mags. She's going to come a little ways within the show, so you get an opportunity to hear her views. Now we're going to go straight into it. I'm going to introduce Mags when she comes. So I was going to read her bio, but we're going to do that after, right? Yeah, let's do that. So let's bring in Coach Ricardo, no stranger to the show. Is he
Listen,
on? There you go.
I
Welcome,
am.
sir.
Thank you so much for having me again. I always enjoy myself when I show up. Now, the thing is, I pop in and listen to a lot of the different ones you have. And so
Yes.
hats off to you, man. Thank you for what you do and the service you're providing because it's truly adding value.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a privilege having you here. It's an honor to have you here with us. Because listen, I know when you come like those sharpshooters. You say what you have to say, and then you bounce. So I'm just waiting patiently to hear these things. No, I have never been divorced, but I'd love to hear the stories of those who have, and I'd love to see and hear, encourage those who have coached others in a way where you actually glean from what they've taught you or shared with you so that you can help those who may be going through that process as well. So we're going to go straight into it, but before we do, there's no way that I'm going to let you talk without acknowledging your beautiful wife, Karen. So just a couple of seconds, I want you to honor her, please, because this is what we do on the show.
Yep.
Nothing changed here, sir. So go
Yes.
straight into it. Let's
Well,
acknowledge her today.
yeah, she makes me better in every way. You know
Come
what I'm
on.
saying? And I'm so grateful. So to my wife Karen, she's amazing, and we're preparing to celebrate our anniversary. Or our anniversary's on December 1st,
Yes.
and the big three: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy
Come
Ghost.
on.
And so we're going to Hawaii, and I'm going to make sure I treat her as to whatever you want, babe. You heard me say it live on the show.
Yes. Yeah, she's you're gonna be held accountable for that, sir. I'm gonna make
Yes,
sure it's that whatever you want, babe. So I'll be
yes,
right there with my little camera to make sure you do exactly what you promised her. But
yes.
thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Karen, for just obviously you could see um the love, the warmness, the whatever it is that Coach Ricardo has. I'm sure that he's 100% better because you're a part of his life. So we want to salute um, Karen today. So, Coach Ricardo, we want to go straight into this now. And, I know that it's a lot to say, but we want to make this as brief as possible. We want to hear about a little bit about your journey through dating after divorce. So, just before you met Karen, all right,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
want to know how that went. What was the process for you? What were you thinking? Were there any times that you felt as if, hey, love will never find me again? Share with us your journey.
Yeah, thank you. I never thought love would not find me again.
Aw.
I was that's a blessing because I knew love was out there.
Yeah.
And I think for somebody who's watching, no matter what you may have experienced, they are not life in general. They're just a part of one of your life experiences.
Yes.
And that experience might have not been a good one, which caused the relationship to come to an end. But life goes on after
Hmm.
divorce. And
Hmm.
so I think that's where I had the first start. And so for me, one, I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be healthy. So what I had to do was I had to do some self-reviewing. I had
Hmm.
to do an assessment of me in the single stage of me. So I remember this coach, Trish. Somebody, I'm 1 week divorced. 1 week. I'm on the treadmill at the gym, and somebody got word that I was divorced now.
Hmm.
And they called me while I was at the gym because they had my number, and we were close enough as friends to have my number. And they said, "Hey, so it's official now, you're divorced." I said, "Yeah." They said, "Well, I need to throw my hand out there." So it says to ensure to let you know I'm interested because
Ooh.
before the word gets out. And I thought, before the word's out, I'm still scarred. I'm
Yes.
I'm bruised. And this person was real. And coach, I was offended
I can imagine.
because I was like, you are not sensitive at all. As a
No.
matter of fact, I wouldn't even make a good dude right now. I
Selfish.
said that. I said, I listen, man, for you to try to come connect with me now, that's called a rebound. That's not
Mm-hmm.
even real. I've not
Mm-hmm.
even dissect what went wrong after
Mm-hmm.
18 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I had to go through what went wrong when I thought there was nothing wrong, but yet I just got a divorce. I don't even believe in divorce. I don't, you
No.
know, I used to say, hey, listen, man, I believe that that's not, I'm exempt.
Yeah.
And then how do you have this experience where you thought you was exempt from it? So I had to clean all of that up, find myself, and then ask God to start to help me to capture what I missed the first time.
Come on.
And let me tell you one of the things I missed the first time. What I missed the first time was I was more valuing the years than I was valuing the experience.
Say that again, sir. Say that again.
I was valuing the years more than I was valuing the experience.
And what did that look like for you?
Well, the years is, you get married and, well, in the first 3 years, we want to get a house. The first three
Yeah.
years, we need to get a couple of kids. The first 3 years, we want to do some vacation. And it was all trying to hit to get to this 3 years, then get to the
Target.
5 years. And then
Yeah.
we would say, well, 5 years is when, and then, 7 years is that. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what's we going to do when we hit 10 years? And I'm counting years, but I'm not experienced the joy, the life, and the reality of what every day should be in an enriched marriage. So at the very core, the marriage was hollow and not as enriched as it should be because one of my priorities was not a healthy one.
I hold on. Just let it simmer.
Oh, yeah.
Just let it simmer a little bit. All right. So in this time, this is the time that 18 years, because that's a huge number. 18 years and then divorce. Like how do you process? How do you start over again? How do you learn how to, I don't know if she was doing this, but how do you learn how to wash your clothes all over again and to cook for yourself all over again? How do you deal with that singleness after 18 years?
But before you can move on, you have to figure out what went wrong. So I think heal before you date.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very important. But heal before you date because if you've ever met anybody who hasn't healed before they date, they spill out all of the things that ought to have been dealt with, even sometime on the date.
Yeah, they bleed on you.
Yeah.
They do.
You
Mm-hmm.
see?
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, Jesus. And I had some of those experiences. I was out with people and I'm like, oh no, you ain't ready.
Mm-hmm.
You hadn't done the work because you have to do the work before you move on. And
Mm-hmm.
some people just haven't. And you got to choose to go there. And here's how you know someone hasn't done the work. You're trying to date and you're telling people don't go there. There is nothing you can go
Mm.
to if you're done with it.
That's that trauma.
You
That's
get
that's
it?
that's the triggers hitting and they ain't ready because they ain't healed from that yet. Wow. Wow.
Trish,
Listen,
you helping people.
listen. Um, I want because I want Max to come and just tag team in this so bad. 'Cause I know she behind that. I won't bring
No,
her in.
she gonna do it. She gonna do her part.
Come.
Let's get this.
That let me get you in first then coach because I really want her to tag team but I want to know and you can see why I say this. What are some of the red flags?
Uh-huh.
You see where I
Yeah.
go with this? What are
Uh-huh.
some of the red flags to watch out for when dating after divorce?
I
Just
think
to avoid now, because we want to avoid making or repeating the same mistakes. Because
yeah,
18 years, how you it's how you get, and there are many people who have divorced after 2 years,
yeah.
after 3 years, after 5 years, but 18 years, coach,
Yep.
18 years.
Yep.
What are some of the red flags when you actually out dating again that you do not want um to be a part of, or you say, you know what, just similar to what you just said, they ain't ready.
Yeah.
Let's list some of them.
I think one of the red flags would be there are triggers and they're not being willing to be addressed. Well, don't bring up my ex. What? I mean, at one point you couldn't live without them to the degree that you said yes.
Come on.
Now, don't bring up their name. But listen, run from a person who like don't bring up their name. They ain't ready.
They ain't
They
here
ain't
yet.
ready.
Mm.
That's a red flag. Another
Mm.
red flag is a person who hasn't allowed God to help them to mend their heart.
Mm.
Literally, they're still hurting. And that's different from what I just mentioned. In other words, the Bible talks about guard your heart with all diligence.
Yes.
They hadn't guarded their heart, or they haven't asked God to help them with their heart. In other words, forgive. That's the big word.
That's the big word.
Now, here's the deal. You can forgive and move on. That's why it says forgive. But I can't forgive him. Then you don't deserve another.
Whew.
Because if you can't forgive him, you're going to mess up whoever you go to because you still got issues you haven't resolved. So a red flag is for anybody who have not committed to letting it go. Forgive. It's ended. The divorce is clear. Now I want to move on. God send me my Boaz. You missed the first, whatever that was the first time. But now, Lord, send me my Boaz. But why would God send you something to help take you to the next level when you haven't done the work to prepare for the something you prayed for?
Come
So
on.
I teach my clients, I say, prepare for what you're praying for. So forgive. You really need to forgive. And then for those who have children and having to go with this whole concept of, I want to date and I have a child, co-parenting is a whole different dynamics because one, you haven't forgiven him. Two, he's going to always be involved because he has to come around and
Yes.
you got issues with him and you're trying to raise a child with him, but you're trying to invite a man in to your life.
We
You
have a
need,
whole section with just co-parenting because that's a serious one right there.
you need a therapist. You
Mm-hmm.
need to go seek professional help and
Mm-hmm.
allow someone to help you to clean all of that. Another red flag would simply be, you know, the rush. What's the rush about wanting to get into another relationship? So how are you doing after divorce? Oh, I'm fine. I just really, you were everything to me. Hold on, you was I still ask you. I can't be everything to you yet because you was 2 months ago. You was everything to somebody else.
My God.
See, what most people don't realize is everything that was said to the person you are now with or trying to commit to, you once said to someone else. That's why they got a ring.
That's right.
And that's why you be like, hold on, wait a minute. Don't try to tell me something so nice to think you could lock me down because I now know you said that to someone else because you were married before. And now you can't stand them. You can't even hear their name. You don't go to church no more because they still go to the same church you went to.
Ooh, you're touching some toes right here, sir.
So
You're
what I'm
smashing
saying
them.
is get to the root of the issues. Go get help. Seek professional assistance.
I noticed that most men go right into dating after the divorce. It's like they don't want to be by themselves or they don't want to be, in a state where they have to cook for themselves, clean for themselves. They're so used to someone doing that for them. What would you what is your input on that, or what are your thoughts on that with them? Mm?
You don't want to
Hold on one second.
rush the process. You don't want to rush the process. The things that you was once not good with or good at doing because somebody else was there, for a while, you need to man up and learn how to become that. Like I wasn't the guy who cooked, but when I got by myself, I cooked. I went to
Mhm.
YouTube and started learning how to cook. I went to because see, it's all about finding that whole healthy place,
Mhm.
not just trying to get a band-aid to quickly fix something that I feel is needed now because I don't want to do the work to become.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say don't rush the process. And that's not only for guys. There are a lot of people who can be alone. There are a lot of people who can't be alone. If you can't be alone, you got a problem. You can't be. You need to learn how to be alone. So I think that the healthiest of people who are ready for dating are the people who are doing life before they even have somebody.
Absolutely. You could go on a date by yourself. You go
You're
watch a
very
movie.
comfortable. Yeah, you
Very
are.
comfortable.
Yeah,
You
you
ain't
are
clingy. You
enjoying
ain't
life to
needy.
the fullest.
Exactly.
He is
Exactly.
enjoying life to the fullest. You're enjoying life to the fullest. He's whole. You are
You're whole.
whole. Both
Mm-hmm.
of y'all come together,
You
makes for an
complement one another.
amazing couple. That's what I believe I have with my beautiful wife, Karen.
I love
She
that.
was whole. She was whole. I had done the work to become the guy who I am today because I wasn't always the same guy.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Let me just read something real quick. On Facebook, we have a few persons that are inputting. Someone says healing and self reflection should be prioritized after a broken relationship. And that is so true. So, even though, yes, we are talking about marriages, this can also be applied to those who have been in just, single people being involved in relationships prior to marriage. So, it's like, okay, after I've already, been in this, let's say, 3 year relationship, 2 year relationship, whatever have you. We're not married yet, but we were talking about it, but something happened and it caused us to break up for whatever reason. That doesn't mean that you go straight into that another relationship just like that. It doesn't even mean that you go straight into somebody else's bed, God forbid, because you're broken. And for those who have divorced, understand that, as Coach Ricardo said, when you go into another relationship just like that, or start to have feelings for someone else just like that, you literally bleed on that other person. It's not even giving you time to get to know who you are, and, as Coach said, reflect on the things that you may have caused, the issues that you may have had that would have brought whatever the reason is for that divorce to happen. So we're going to take a quick break. And in this break, I'm asking for those, especially who are listening via cable or radio, a time to reflect on, as someone who is divorced, or someone who's been in a relationship and is presently um, looking to be in another one. All right. Before you even try that, let's reflect on some of the things that you may have caused, some of the issues that you may have had. Maybe you're too bossy, maybe you're too rowdy, maybe you're too controlling. There's so many different factors as to why there has been a breakup, or there has been a divorce. And I'm not saying that that person is 100% the reason, all right? Because it's never 100% a reason. But let's look at ourselves. I'm saying our, but I'm not in that. But let's look at, reflect on yourself. That's the best way to put it. And see where you have went wrong. And that's a part of healing. When you actually come out of the denial and you actually get an opportunity to see who you are. Um, that healing process. Peter's like, hurry up, Trish. We're going on a break here. All right. So we're gonna go on a break. So reflect for us, please. And after the break, we're gonna get into, you know, um, how do you get to that healthy state? How do you get to that whole state right after this?
Coach Trish,
Make sure the ad for the Dario Eric's Productions is in the lineup for me, please. Yes, sir.
you know what I did while I was working on healing and checking out where I was
Mm-hmm.
by myself? I made a list on, Lord, what did I not do right?
That's
And
good.
I made a list. I made a list of, I think it was 8 things.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was talking with somebody and I told them about my list. And I said, you want to, let's do something. They said, what do you do? I said, let me text my ex and ask her what she would say as was my issues.
You gotta be you gotta be I don't even know what to say, a strong man for that. You or
Oh,
listen to me, or listen to me. Not everyone could do that. You have to be I wanted to say something, but that wouldn't sound too Christian like. But you gotta have, yeah, you know what I mean? To actually text or call and find out from your ex. Literally wanted to hear what you did wrong, because a lot of men will not do that. I can tell you that.
I I ask point blank. I say highlight to me because I talk in bullet points all the time. She
Yeah.
wrote back, I have five. I said, send me the five. I was sitting down with another friend, and five of what she sent to me,
Yes.
listen, was on my seven. Nothing she sent to me wasn't already on my list,
Wow.
which was liberating for me because I wasn't in denial, you know?
Yeah, you done? All right.
Your lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
Listen, welcome back for those who are just joining us via radio, via cable 976. It's just wonderful here. It's wonderful here. If you know someone who's been through a divorce, tell them to tune in now, all right? Because we're getting some really good nuggets from Coach Ricardo, and then later on from Coach Mags. We're going to hear from her, just for us to know, for the public to know, because some of us just curious, because we ain't planning on going to getting divorced at all right, we good on this side.
Yeah,
But for
yeah,
those,
we get on this side too.
all right, we good on this side. But it's good to know, just in case you have a friend, a colleague, whomever who may come to you for advice. What do I do if da da da, or what da da da? As a friend, you want to be able to say the right thing. As a family member, you want to be able to say the right thing, giving them good advice. Now, just during the break, obviously our Facebook audience was able to hear this, but our radio audience wasn't. Coach Ricardo said something very interesting. I said, you got to be really mature. You got to have all the stuff, all the sock. You got to have everything for you to text your ex, or to text your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend in other cases, and ask them, what are some of the things, or what are some of the issues that you've had with me? What were some of my faults? Pride is one of the greatest spirits that operate, I personally believe, in men. I don't know, ego, pride, and ego. For me, from what I've gathered, and it takes a real good, strong, confident man for to ask their ex, where have I went wrong, or what were my faults, what were my issues, without deflecting, without complaining, without pointing the fingers back to say, well, you did this, or I did that because of you. So let's hear from Coach Ricardo. He said his ex-wife gave him 5 points, and
Yep,
he already knew that those were the issues that he had. Yeah.
yep. I knew there were issues because I was already praying and asking God, hey, after 18 years of marriage, I got divorced. Now I'm doing the inner work because
Mm-hmm.
I teach a lot on you have to do the inner work. I'm doing the inner work, and you can't do the inner work without inspecting you.
Mm-hmm.
Self-reflection. You
Ah.
understand what I'm saying? Identifying where you were short. And so I made a list. Well, I could be short right here. I could be short right here. I could have been short right here. Over there, I could have been short. And I made a list of, I think, about 8 things, Coach Trish.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person I was sitting down with, I said, hey, what do you think about me texting my ex and asking her to give me a list of things that she thought I had missed it on? Behold, she sends back a list of 5 things, and the 5 things was a part of my 7,
Mm.
which was liberating for me. Now, let me talk about healthy marriage even now.
Yes.
My wife and I, to this day, I occasionally ask her, hey, where
Check
am I
in.
missing it that
Yeah.
that I don't see that you see? And so
Mm.
that's a healthy question,
Yes.
because see, I don't want to wait now for after, when I have somebody who's with me who say, boy, I wish I could tell him. Because here's one of the things I teach: someone is watching you mess up who's capable of helping you. And most of the time, for married couples, your covenant partner, you think you have an open line of communication. My wife could say anything to me. Would she agree that she can? Or my husband could say anything to me. Would he honestly agree that he can? And very few couples will say they can.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me get into this a little. Let me dig a little bit more into this now, coach. Can you list at least one of the seven that you had that you feel as if most men or women battle with? And how did you um, focus on that primarily, and how did you overcome?
I was a workaholic. That was number one. She
Ooh,
hated the fact that I was like, man, I got you a maid, I got you a house, I bought you a Lexus. I mean, I have you travel, but how do you think I
she
pay for
wasn't
this stuff?
present.
See, yeah, how do you think I pay for this stuff, woman?
Mm,
Right? But workaholic. That
yeah,
was number one. Another one that was on the list was that I am I'm analytical. I'm a planner.
hmm,
She likes sporadic. I couldn't
sporadic.
do sporadic.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going to date here. I have on the calendar, buy her flowers.
Hmm.
I'm like, I have on the calendar, you know what I mean? Next week to plan to just do breakfast.
No room for flexibility. None. Nothing.
No, I didn't have any of that. And so she got we were doing the things, but they weren't sporadic with the
Right.
feeling of wow.
Excitement.
Yeah,
Yeah. It wasn't
yeah.
there.
That wasn't it. That's two of them.
Ooh. Yeah, those two were pretty good. You have some people who are, they gotta dot the I's and cross the T's, and there's no excitement, there's no um joy in that all the time when everything has to be so on point and so scheduled. You have women who enjoy, just the idea of saying, oh, I've been surprised by my husband. We just woke up one day and say, let's go this place or let's go that place. And then the workaholism, that is a major factor, especially with men, because of course, from Bible days in Genesis, God wanted men to be the ones to go out and work, etc. But I think because it's an innate thing for men, but they just have to know how to balance it. You know what I
Let me
mean? Hmm.
let me give you two more. You want
Go
two
ahead.
more?
Yes, give me two
They
more.
get caught.
Because
I snore and I didn't fix it. I wasn't trying to fix it. It was what I was. And that
that
was a
ain't no
problem.
big thing. Maybe for her, for her, it was a big thing.
You'll be amazed. So many people say it's a big one. Let me give you the big one. Then I
Uh-huh.
was selfish in bed.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. That's a big
I
one,
was
sir.
selfish. I
I
was
can't I
selfish.
can't give you no pass with that one.
You got it. There's
Yeah.
none of them. Really, I'm still working on the whole breeding thing. You'll be
Right.
amazed how many people their sleeping habits is affecting their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You'll be amazed how many
Yeah.
people they're sleeping out. But then watch this, the lazy and bad one. And I didn't, I just, hey, my drive and her drive was in the same drive. And then
Mm.
I was a little bit, she introduced me to quickies and I get too comfortable accepting them.
Uh-oh. Okay. That's not a good one, coach.
I just
That's
telling
not
you, listen,
bye-bye.
hey, listen, she introduced me to quickies and I got
Oh,
comfortable accepting
no.
them. And
No.
before you know it, that's why you have to watch what becomes a habit.
Come on.
You see? So certain things you can be like, hey, I rather wait
Yeah.
because
Especially
this
with
is
you.
us. This is
Yeah.
not for me. This is not for you. This is for us.
Yes, the pleasure is in making sure that they're pleased. That's what
Wholeheartedly.
brings the pleasure or
Wholeheartedly.
should bring the pleasure. But let's get back to it. I know you spoke about the red flags and you talk about healing because that's a major thing. What about the boundaries that are set even while you are dating? Let's say you find someone and you are sharing past experiences, etc. But you have values and certain things that you will not do. This new era now is you meet the person the same day, you sleep with them the same day.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how do you establish boundaries when starting to date again, especially when emotions and past experiences come into play.
I'm gonna give you a hot one because I know our show's moving, right?
Yeah.
I had to figure out what my boundaries were. I had to figure out what was boundaries, what was values that I had,
Hmm.
what was it, and then find out were we in line to have the same value system.
Hmm.
Some people
Compatible.
don't have the same value system with you, and then somebody won't establish theirs, but you try to establish yours, but you ain't that strong with yours. They're not even trying to introduce theirs. That's a problem. So I think early on you have the conversation. I believe Coach Trish, the healthiest of relationships are comfortable with tough conversations.
Yeah.
Tough conversation. So I was in a dating center. I'm like, hey, when the sun go down, you got to leave. You can't be by my place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't have the same level of discipline at night as I have in the day.
Mm-hmm. That's
Did you
right.
catch that?
I got that.
I
I mean,
always
to be honest, anyway, we can talk for that one later. But to each its own. Day and night, night and day. Once that thing excited, they're excited. But
no,
you gotta know
but
how to
once
set
again,
those boundaries. Yeah,
this is why you have to have, hey, we're gonna meet out. We can't never
public
meet in.
places.
We're
Exactly.
gonna we're going to go out in couple
Yeah,
forms,
yeah.
and so you got to really go through that. And then there is some of it where you have to say, I have to learn how to put my flesh under subjection.
Subtraction.
Like
Yeah.
literally, you have to honor the code. You have to choose to respect yourself.
Man, this man, we can put Mike in this soon, but let me get a male's perspective on this. Now you've been married for 18 years, right?
Hmm.
And because we on the matter with sex, right?
Right.
So after then you don't know you can get what you can get whenever you want to get it for that 18 years. And
Yeah.
here it is that you're dating now.
Yeah.
How do you deal with, but my body is already accustomed to the excitement and being fulfilled and receiving pleasure, to okay, I'm meeting someone that I'm physically attracted to, and I'm actually literally attracted to them because of their intelligence and all these other factors, but I can't touch them.
Yeah. Right.
So how can we, I keep on saying we, but how can people um balance that, or maneuver with being used to being sexually active before, and then having to be in a state of celibacy?
The weaker you are, meaning that the more vulnerable you are, the more boundaries have to be put in place.
Mm.
And this is where conversations have to be real. Man, being around you, I'm learning how to discipline myself. I'm learning how to respect this process. But this is where honest conversation. Now, here's the deal: if the other person is weak and you're weak, y'all gonna mess up.
It's a given.
If you weak
It is
and
what it
they
is.
weak, somebody gotta be strong.
Yeah, somebody.
Somebody gotta be like, hey,
Mhm.
no is no, right? But if and so I think it's the more I think at some point, the Bible says this, Apostle Paul says, and I'm definitely using other context a little bit, but it really applies for a good understanding. He
Mhm.
says, all things are permissible to me, but not all things are
Okay.
beneficial.
Mhm.
In other words, I have to learn how to know that not everything I can have, I need to learn how to discipline myself to not have.
Right.
That right there is the highest level of self-management,
Yeah.
self-discipline. Everything I could have, I have chosen not to do or not to have, but I could. Meaning she would, but I've chosen not to.
Mm.
That right there is where I think we as believers, especially believers, should aim to be. So
Yeah.
if you're not there, then work on becoming that and then put the parameters in place. Like I went up by myself, I said, don't be texting me after hours.
Mm.
Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't falling asleep on the phone. Come on,
No.
don't fall asleep on the phone because how far are you from me? How far am I from you?
Mhm.
And we're adults. You know what I'm saying? You got a car and I got a place. I mean, there's a lot of we don't talk about it
Yeah.
even to ourselves in clarifying the standard before we even entertain anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that. I noticed that you know, people fall prey to things simply because of lack of self-control, simply put. And in most cases, some of the reasons why there is divorce is because somebody did not have self-control. Someone wasn't disciplined enough to say no. And it could be for various reasons, infidelity, so many other factors that can cause divorce. And it's because somebody did not know how to say, you know what? I have to stop. This
Well,
is
that
it
was
for
my
me.
situation. My situation was an infidelity situation. So that's a whole nother talk, because how do men deal with infidelity and be a man after the fact that you think if a woman is cheating on you, you have to be deficient? Boy, where in the world are you
Come
missing it?
on. You want to go there?
I
You want to feel
can't
like
go there
going there
right.
today?
They go there
Let's
right
go
now.
there on another. Let's go there in February, God's willing. Let's go there. Let's go there
We
because
can go there in
I
February. Make a
have
note of that one.
that. Yes, yes, God's willing, we can be right there. Because I've had women on the show, who dealt with their their husbands committing adultery, and somehow they happened to stay in there in the marriage, and they worked it out, and they made it through. Some of them were still battling with trauma, of course,
Mhm.
and all those other stuff. um there hasn't been anyone on my show who has been through it and said, I divorce it, this ain't for me, I gotta go. All right. And that is actually one show that I said I was gonna do, where we have people on there who have committed adultery or has been cheated on, who can say, yes, I've divorced because of this. So that God's willing, that's a February show. We can hit that. Everything with relationships in February can be nice and hot and juicy. But coach, you ready to talk about parenting, or should I tag Mag in that one?
We could go right now, or we could pull this one
You want
in.
to pull this one in?
Hmm.
Um, Before we go to parenting, this is something I want to talk about: online dating. There's a rise in online dating, as you've seen, and do you think it's a good option for divorcees, and what precautions should they take?
Well, I think it's a great option. I think that social media, so the World Wide Web, allows for you to be introduced to people you would have normally not been able to reach, but
Hmm.
could be compatible to. And so the world has changed. You mean the reality of it is you could meet the perfect person who would not be in the same room, same church, same street, same job, same mall, but now you're able to meet because of technology. So I'm okay with online dating. What I would say though is you have to really know who you are and go back to that whole I'm in a good place. And then you have to remember most of the descriptions of online dating aren't real because
Yeah.
people put their best description online. They
Yes, they
put their
do.
best picture online. They
Yeah.
put their best everything about them online. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going to go to online dating, uh, you're going to have to accept those basic truths. And then a lot of people lie online, just outright lie. I
Life.
mean, outside of the description not being 100 and the picture not even being 100, a lot of people just once again, and then you have to be careful about the safety side of
Of
it.
course. Yeah.
There's been some real horror stories about it. But I think, and I've known people who have done it well and met their life partner and they're doing great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I know of a few who have done the same thing, and a few with some really bad experiences. So you got to
Mhm.
be careful with that, as you said before. Now let's talk about parenting now, because you have, in most situations, you have divorcees who've had um, children with their husband or their wife, and then they have to share that responsibility, and it comes with, okay, how soon should I introduce this person who I'm dating to my children? And then it also comes with, um, will this person accept my children, etc. So, how do people getting into the dating era with children, how should they be cautious, or show some type of caution and concern when having children
I think
present?
there are a couple of things. Number one, if you have younger children under 12, under 14, that needs to be on the forefront because you can't get me without my child,
Right.
right? Maybe if you have kids 16, 18, 20, and they're older, somewhat of a different type of situation. But definitely you can't get me without my kids, especially if they're in my life, in my
Mhm,
home.
mhm,
Karen and I both have, she has a daughter, I have a son.
mhm.
And we both took more than a year before we introduced them to She didn't introduce me to her daughter. I didn't introduce her to my son. But let me move this a little bit at a higher level. When it was time for me to make a commitment to want to do life with Karen, I asked, "Hey, I need to meet her father. We
Oh,
need
you
to have
found
a,
there.
we need to have a man-to-man conversation."
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was important because I wanted him to know, hey, I'm Ricardo Miller, and I'm gonna be around for a while.
Okay.
I'm from Soldier Road, okay?
Ever so the road.
Yeah, I'm from Soldier Road,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it was a great conversation, but it
Yeah.
was a real good start because he's an involved father. He's
Okay.
engaged. He wants to be there for his daughter. And I
Mm-hmm.
respect him for that. But at the same time, I'm going to be here. Then you also have to ask yourself, if you're a woman and you have a child, you need to figure out, is this dude safe?
That's a serious thing.
You gotta have
Yeah.
and so yes, he may be into you, but then he's also maybe unsafe around kids, not
Yeah.
only girls, but boys as well. I mean, we live in a very, very messed up world. And so that's why I'm like, you need to have difficult conversation. Are you safe? Like literally.
Man, you
uh,
can't ask them that though. So how are you supposed to
what
know
you
if you're
mean you
safe
can't
or not?
answer that?
What you can ask them if you're safe around the children? Like how you gonna work
Not
that?
around the children. You need to
Right.
ask them when you're talking straight up. If you have a concern, you need to bring that. Are you on the low? Have you ever been with the opposite sex, with the same
Oh,
sex?
those questions.
But
Okay.
it's still in line with you
Yeah.
go where most people don't go because they be like, I didn't see that he was questionable. You didn't ask. In today's society, well, you know, you gotta ask.
You gotta ask. That's something that
Mama,
they can say no way, you can stay in the closet. They're
no,
not
but
gonna
here's the
admit.
deal. At least you ask.
Yeah.
Here's one of my fun questions I asked when I was doing the dating thing. I was like, what's this? Is there anything I need to know that no one knows that I need to know that I can get frustrated
If
for
I found out.
if I found out?
Yeah.
Hello. You
Hello.
see, and repeatedly, you don't ask that just once. Because should that come out later, that lets me know you are outright liar.
Dishonest. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're dating, you have your children, but one of the rules is, or one of the mandates would be, just don't introduce your children to this person as yet.
No, I don't think that.
Because you want to what, get to know this person more. You don't want to have this individual in and out, or different individuals in and out of the child's life. Tell us why you should wait until a couple years, or sorry, couple months to a year to introduce this person
Because
to your
one, it's
child.
not healthy for the child or children. I mean, every 3 months, every 6 months, you're introducing somebody like this, my friend.
Mhm.
Then another 6 months, this my other friend. Then it's another 6 months, this my friend again. Lord, mama, daddy, you a player.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not a good deal. And so I think it's not healthy for the child. I think also, why are you rushing this process if y'all ain't there yet?
Mm.
Like, is it there? Is it there to the point where you see a future that you are now meriting the relationship enough to want to bring your child or children into meeting this person? You know? And so I just think slow down and ask yourself, what's the rush?
Mm. Slow down, ask yourself what's the rush. So let's talk about just in general. If you were to talk, let's say for males that are tuning in now, and they want to go back into the dating pool, they want to explore, they feel as if they have healed, what are some things that they should look for? Because I know we talk about the red flags, let's talk about the green flags.
Somebody who's healthy. And what I mean like healthy, they love themselves. They like themselves. They're managing themselves well.
Mhm.
They're not needy. They're not insecure. And they're in love with who they are, and they're excited about their future.
Mm.
That person speaks really well for somebody you can do life with at a great level. But you find the opposite to everything I just said, all of those will fall under red flags.
Yeah.
But on the plus side is you see somebody, man, listen, they have chosen to pick up the pieces after life has been brutal to them, and they are making life work. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
They're managing themselves well, and you would be an addition. You would be a plus. But if you don't connect, it won't break the deal. You know what I
Mm,
mean? This person's going to be fine. I mean, hats off to people, male and female, who find themselves in a healthy place. So here's what I would say also:
mhm.
write down what is healthy and go 3 layers beyond the list you first come up with. So write 5 things down, what is healthy. When you write those 5 things down, then push yourself for 5 more. Then push yourself for 5 more. It is that third 5 that is really healthy. The first 5 is surface. First 5 ain't nothing. The first 5 things that I know I'm healthy. Oh, I done been separate. You ain't, that's the first 5.
Yeah,
Girl, I weak. I can't be around him. See, you ain't fully, you ain't
you're
ready
in
to
there.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah. If
yeah.
this one don't work, then I don't know what I would do. You got to know what you would do, because what if he is not the one, and now you banking everything on him? You know. So get the 5. What is healthy? Healthy is, watch this. This is what people say. Healthy is he got a job, girl. He look good in pictures. He got a car. He got his own place, and he take care of his child. Woohoo! Bring him in. He is emotionally insensitive.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? He's
narcissist.
abusive. You catch
Mm,
what I'm saying? He doesn't respect women. He is controlling.
mm,
That's even in the first 5, but the first 5 sounds like what a lot of people would accept.
mhm,
That's why you have to go to the third level of healthy,
mhm, mhm. To the core,
and which you should do for yourself as well.
right? That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So let's just we're about to go on a break, but just to wrap up with Coach Ricardo said is when you are going in this back into the dating pool, before you even look at what you would want in a male, let's look self reflect on you. All right, what are some things that, as he stated, some issues that you may have had prior to or in the marriage, that you want to work on before you even get into dating or being involved with somebody else. Work on those things first. Work on the insecurity, you being in control, work on the self control, work on, and nobody talks about this, the way that you spend things, your finances, being prudent, etc. Work on those things. Work on the fact that you have some women who just so independent that they feel, I don't need no man, child, I don't need no man. And then the man feel as if he has no reference or no significance in your life, so he gonna try go somewhere else. He ain't even checking for you. Work on that, the fact that, hey, that yes, we are independent individuals, but when we come together, especially in marriage, you want to have that balance. Okay, and that's the best way I could put it, because I don't want to get too deep into that. All right, not to the point where you just leaving them out altogether and you just doing your own things. And of course, you can attest to this, Coach Ricardo. Men love the feeling of being needed and wanted. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So believe it or not, that can actually hinder a man's, and you could talk about this too, their desire to even want to be with you, because they feel as if they hold no reference. They mean nothing. So let's look at that. Let's look at the fact that if you're saying that you want to go and date again, let's list some things, as Coach Ricardo stated, what healthy looks like to you. All right, how does that look? What are some things what are some qualities that you want to see in this individual? What are some things that you desire? That way, you have your little boundaries, because that actually that holds for values. Actually, it says, okay, well, these are my values, and so I know that anything lower than this, especially if there's somebody who doesn't believe in God, or somebody who doesn't have that same faith that I have, then we know that we just settling. Okay, we know that we just desperate at this point. We know that we just want a man just to say we want a man. So once you write down these standards, right, once you write down what healthy looks like, now not the surface ones, but the deep core ones, how is he with his goals? Is he a goal setter? Is he a hard worker? There's a difference between a hard worker and a workaholic.
Yeah.
Okay, look at their qualities. And this is what's so amazing is whenever we talk about things like this, even though we're specific with divorce, we can actually talk to those singles who are looking for to be married, okay, or those who are in the point of where they are in on route to get married. You know, you already have your fiance and you haven't said yes yet, you haven't committed to those vows as yet, but you do see some red flags. And I hope at some point in this conversation that you were able to see something in there that you can actually just step back and say, oh, let me look at this before I actually get more involved into this relationship. All right, so coach made some really, really good points. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a break because we want to get Maggie, Coach Maggie, in here. I'm excited to hear what she has to say. And so, Mags, you're gonna be up next. Let's go take a quick break, and right after that, you'll hear from Coach Mags.
Perfume bar by Lyric Palmville has expanded to
Let's
house
get her on, please.
exclusive.
Hey, Mags, you're here.
Hey, how
How
are
are
you?
you?
I am
I'm good.
good.
Listen, we're still, even though we're a break on the radio portion,
Mhm.
we're still live on Facebook. All right,
Okay,
so just want to let you know with that. So I'm gonna read your bio, but just
sure.
for clarification, how
Mhm.
do you pronounce your last name?
So you say Mags Kudzai.
Kudzai. Okay,
Yes.
okay, so I wasn't wrong.
That's my second name. But yeah,
Okay. All right. So Mags Kudzai. All right. And so you heard the dialogue between me and Coach Ricardo.
it
And
was good.
yeah, so
It
I
was
want to
super
hear,
good.
I was like, okay,
He's
it's
always good all the
yeah,
time. He's my favorite. He's the favorite one on my podcast.
yes, I absolutely love Coach Ricardo as well. But some of the questions that I asked him, I really would want to ask you as well.
Sure.
From reference the fact that you were also divorced.
Mhm.
Are you presently married or in a relationship now? Are you
I
still?
had just broken an engagement.
You've broken an engagement. Ooh, I want to hear. Ooh, you ready to talk? You ready to talk, mom? I need to know. All right. We got 10 seconds and we're going to come in. All right. We're going to come in with you.
Sure,
Mhm.
sure.
So if you want to, because I don't want to open anything that you're not
I'll
allowed to
just
speak
say
about.
briefly. Don't ask me too many questions. I just
No,
shared.
on that, I don't want to ask too much because it's
Yeah,
fresh. So
but I
let me
can tell you that's where I'm at. Yeah, I'm happy to say
awesome.
that.
This is going to be good. Welcome back. For those who are just joining us, we have ended our session with Coach Ricardo Miller, he so graciously introduced us to one of his friends and colleague, Mags Kudzai. And we want to hear from a fresh perspective, from a female's perspective about dating after divorce. And just a little to know, to tell you a little bit about Mags. Mags is an author, speaker, mentor, and ordained pastor, and the founder of Women of Wisdom International and WOW Foundation. She is a registered nurse, a neuro linguistic practitioner, and holds a master's degree in pastoral counseling and is passionate about people discovering and fulfilling their destiny. Mags has charitable initiatives in many countries, and she is also a mentor to many young women and girls. She believes in touching and changing lives beyond the four walls of the church. And she believes that not all people can make it to a church, so she takes Jesus to the broken, the rejected, the fallen, the fearful, the outcast, and the vulnerable. I absolutely love that. In Mag's eyes, Jesus went to all, so she takes the ministry of Jesus to all. Mag's main hobby, and this is where we could be best friends right now, is travel, travel, travel. We best friends. All right. She loves to travel, and that's amazing because even in that, like she says, she loves to share the gospel. So clearly, in her traveling, and without a shadow of a doubt, we know that she ain't just traveling just for leisure, but she's traveling to minister as well. So, Coach Max, thank you so much for joining us at Your Lane Life Coaching Talk Show. We are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, listen, we had Coach, and you said you were tuning in, and Coach was on, and we wanted to hear a female's perspective on dating after divorce. And in our break, you said to me, "Yes, I've been divorced. In fact, I went into a relationship to the point of engagement. However, I had to break it. So I'm not going into details.
Yes.
I want you to share what you want the audience to share from the point of view your divorce
Mhm.
to where you are now, your journey. Let's talk about that.
Thank you so much, Coach Trish, and thank you for what you're doing. This is an amazing platform. It's my first time
Mhm.
here, and I will definitely be listening in. It
Thank
was
you.
interesting to listen to Coach Ricardo because a lot of things are different from a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
So I'll start with my story briefly because it's
Mhm.
long.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was married for, I'm going to say 14 years because I didn't find out that the divorce had gone through until 8 months after the divorce. So in Texas, there's this thing that you can divorce. And because we were living in different cities, long story for another day. But
Right.
so I would say 14 years. By the time I found out, it seemed like 15, but it was 14 years. So I was
Mhm.
married and got divorced in 2019. So it's been 6 years.
Wow.
And it's been an interesting journey. One thing I found out after my divorce was like dating in your 40s is totally different from in the 20s. Because I was married at
Mm.
23, so I was so young, and things are so different
Mhm.
nowadays. One thing I took from what you were talking about with Coach Ricardo is a few things that I did for myself was I had therapy. Therapy was actually enforced on me by my work because I was kind of like not coping, and they had me
Mm.
go therapy. And as a Christian who grew up in the church, I'm like, what for? But just talking to somebody else helped me look at things from a different perspective. So I
That's
am
good.
an advocate for therapy. Hence, I've gone on to do counseling and I'm continuing in that vein.
Yeah.
I also discovered more about myself because a lot of
Mhm.
times I talk to women all the time, like on a day-to-day basis. I talk to maybe 20 women, some that I'm helping, some of my friends. My circle is pretty big. And one thing I've noticed from those that there are women that have worked on themselves, that have healed, that have gone through therapy, and they're ready for a relationship.
Mhm.
Whereas you have some that think I can't be without a man, so they rush into another relationship before they even heal, and sometimes they go from the pan to the fire. So it's so
Yes.
important to go to therapy, get healed, so that Paul is not paying for what Peter did
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you haven't healed, but also discovering who you are. I remember the first one of the things I did after my divorce was go to the movies. And then instantly I chose action movie because that's what my ex-husband liked. And I'm sitting in there and I'm like, I do not like this. All the shooting, blood, and everything. But for 14 years, those
Yeah.
are the movies we mostly went to watch because
Yeah.
I went because that's what he liked watching. So I realized, okay, what do I like? And I started choosing movies that I like.
Mhm.
And I realized I actually liked my space and liked quiet time because I was always around people.
Yeah.
And another thing, so I discovered myself, found things I liked as an individual and not
Mhm.
because I'm married. He likes this, so I like that. So I think that's the first thing before you start dating. Get healed, definitely go to therapy, even if it's just a couple of sessions, and the
Mhm.
therapist can tell you you're fine, you're ready. Christian counseling is good. Our pastors are great, but not every pastor is trained in counseling.
Yeah.
Therefore, sometimes you have people that are in church go to pastors for counseling and they still get divorced, and you wonder, but we went to the pastor. The
Mhm.
pastor is not every pastor is equipped to counsel, and I say that as a pastor myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I was still married, we went to this pastor and realized he needs help himself
Himself.
in his own.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's so important to get the right help, invest in yourself as women. I'm going to talk to the women.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself, discover who you are. And then because once you've discovered yourself and you know who you are, you're not just going to go for the wrong person. Now you know what kind of things you like. So you're not going to look for a guy who likes what you don't like, if
Right.
that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the most important things for women out there. Don't just jump from one relationship to the other. Like Coach was saying, look at the things you did wrong. What can I do better next time? Because if maybe you were the cause of your breakup, you're just going to carry that same broken person into the same next relationship, and
Yeah.
then and after 2 or 3 you'll be like, who's the problem here? you know so that's what I'd like to say first. And
Mm-hmm.
in my experience of dating, whew, how much time do we have?
Oh, Lord. We're gonna make this one brief because I gotta bring you back on because this sounds juicy. Go ahead.
That's fine. So because I have a big circle, I am very well connected. I was born in Zimbabwe, and then I
Mm-hmm.
lived in the United Kingdom for about 18 years, and then I moved to the US. So I know people from Zimbabwe, from England, and the US. So I know a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the very good communicator. So I'm good at keeping relationships. So I'm able to communicate with people a lot. Whereas somebody's like, how do you even get a date? How do you even know people? I know so many people that it's not a problem. And I just had a session today. I have a support group for women that have gone through divorce,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes in the church that's not available. And if
Yeah.
you've never gone through a divorce, there's some things you would never understand.
Yeah.
So about over a year ago, we started this group, and a lot of women have been really helped. We had a session this afternoon, and I shared with them about my recent breakup, and some of them were like, "Oh my God, this happened!" And it was just good to know. And one of the questions were like, "What have you learned from it?"
Mm-hmm.
And we just did a podcast yesterday with Coach Ricardo on the red flags to look for in
Mm-hmm.
dating after divorce. And I had dinner with Coach Ricardo and his wife yesterday. And when I was
Mm-hmm.
telling them the story, I was like, that was red flag number one. Two, by the time I got to the engagement, I had like 5 red flags. I shouldn't have even said yes. But of course, we all love the love story. This guy
Yeah.
is a Christian. I work as a nurse, so sometimes the hospital can be so stressful.
Yeah.
This guy would pray for me before I go to work. I mean, if you hear the prayer, you'll be like, this is a man of God. And
Mm-hmm.
he is in his own way. But
Mm-hmm.
when I look at the red flags, some of them were non-negotiables that I should never have even gotten to that stage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as Christians and as women after divorce, sometimes we want the perfect love story. We want I finally found someone who loves me, who accepts me for me. And where did I meet this guy? On a Christian dating site.
Mm.
And yeah, so interesting. So just because someone is on a Christian dating site doesn't mean they're just going to be perfect in every way.
Yeah.
Is he a bad person? No, I think he's good for someone else, but just
Yeah.
not for me. So I'm so glad we took time and didn't rush. Initially, it was rush, rush, rush. Let's get married because as Christians, we want to have legal sex. So let's get married
Right.
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not worth the rush if you get into it quickly and realize this was the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Um, Again, and a lot of times I notice with women that have been divorced before, when they get married a second time and things are not working, they don't want to leave the relationship because they don't want to be people to say, oh, you've left 2 marriages. Now
Yeah.
yes. So they stay in it. I was talking to a friend a few days ago who just left a second marriage, and she was saying, what kept me the longest was because I was thinking, what are people going to say?
Yeah.
Then
I
in
know.
retrospect, when she looked in it, she shouldn't have gotten into that second marriage. But the guy quickly dangled the marriage card, which they do a lot, especially Christian guys know we want to get
Mm.
married. So they'll start by saying, I'm just looking for a wife, and I believe you're the one. God has already spoken to me. And time will tell who a person really is. So don't rush, take your time, be prayerful, use discernment, because I always say the statement, an actor comes off the stage at some point. So if they're
Yes.
acting, they're acting perfect, they're acting just, it's almost like they have a script. Because I dated another guy who was a guy I knew from high school, and he ticked every box. When I tell you, when I read to him what my list, which you should never do because they're just going to do what's on your list. But when I read, he goes, "You're talking about me. You are
Oh,
describing me."
oh no.
And as time went on, and the good thing was this was long distance. So
Yeah.
by the time we had been talking for a couple of months, I realized, the red flags start popping up and the real person starts showing. So don't be rushed into we have to get married now. And oh, he could be like, I'm burning. I want to have sex right now. And the only way we can have sex is we get married. So let's get married tomorrow.
Hmm.
Will regret it quickly. It happens sometimes. I'm not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater. There are some
So
people that have been, yeah,
yeah, I get that. It does happen where people want to go quickly into it just because this person is a Christian and they're a Christian. And be like, okay, well that means that we're compatible, we're equally yoked. Let me move on. But let's talk about for women now who've in the state where they want to go and they want to date again, even as far as dressing. Because after a while you may seem a little bit like you want to. I got to be careful with how I word this now. I wouldn't say sell yourself because that doesn't sound right, but you want to be marketable. Can I use that term? You want to spice things up, my producer said, right? Because you don't want to seem old like an old hag after you've been
right,
married for so long. You still want to.
right.
So how should a woman dress? What are some questions that they should ask? And how should they conduct themselves after what 4 years, 5 years, 18 years into marriage, and you're ready to go and you date again? How should this divorcee look on their first date?
That's a good question.
Mhm.
When I said work on yourself, there are things like I had to go and get Invisalign on my teeth because my teeth were kind of gapping and whatever.
Mhm.
So I decided to work on myself because you can look at things on yourself that need to be worked on. I'm still working on
Right.
myself. Coach Ricardo is still trying to get me into the gym every day. I'm trying.
Mhm.
So work on yourself to better yourself. Dressing wise, I think yes, over time, like, if you've been a mom and you've been looking after kids all this time, now you're
Mhm.
back on the dating scene. You can't be dressing like you're just about to, go and look after many kids. But I think there is nice dressing without exposing yourself. You don't have to go and dress with everything hanging out because you're just going to attract those kind of guys.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they'll just think you're a piece of meat, you are cheap, so you can still dress well without letting everything hang out. That's what
Mhm.
I would say. And you want somebody to love you for you and
Mhm.
the person inside, because if they're just going to be like, oh, she looks sexy and I want her, and then they never get to really know you, then are you really attracting the person who you're going to do life with? Because I assume if you've been married before, like me or a lot of people that I talk to, and whether marriage was good or bad, you want to be married again. There's a few people that say, I don't want to get married, I just want a partner for life. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
good for you. That's not my story. So you want to
Mhm.
attract somebody who's gonna love you for you. So don't go dressed like a prostitute and expect to get a man who's gonna appreciate you for
Yeah.
you. And the questions to ask, I think Coach Ricardo did talk a little bit about it. I just want to say one thing from what Coach said about asking your ex about, oh, tell me 5 things that I did wrong.
Right.
That works for men, I think, maybe, because women, we're very emotional. And secondly, not all men are going to tell you the truth to help you.
Ah,
Some men will want to hurt you. And, a lot of women, like on my group, have blocked their exes. So if you're going to unblock someone just to say, what did I do wrong? He's going to make sure he's going to hurt you. You were this, you were
yeah.
that, you were this, you were that. So the therapy time and time working on yourself as a woman, I think,
Yeah.
and also it depends on the relationship with your ex. Some exes have good relationships and can tell you that, you know what, I was the wrong one. Nobody's perfect. I can definitely list one or two things that I did wrong, but you know that already. So
Mhm,
don't don't do that unless you have a good relationship with your
mhm,
ex.
mhm, mhm.
um, Questions to ask. Um, Ask about children. Do you have any children? That was the deal breaker with the relationship I just broke off, because he said he didn't, only to find out after the engagement that he did. Do you have any children? If that's a deal breaker for you. But either way, how can you
Mhm.
hide children? You can't hide children all your life. Do you, if you're divorced, show each other a screenshot of your divorce certificates, because we've seen lately
Oh,
men
that's
that
important.
their divorces are not fully resolved, or they're not divorced at all. So if you've been married before, here's a here's a picture of my divorce certificate. Can I see yours
Show
before
me
we
the
even go?
papers.
Show me the papers. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And are you not in another relationship? I mean, one thing I notice with guys is they can talk to two or three women at the same time,
Mhm,
and then
mhm,
decide, okay, of these three, I think I'm going to go with number three.
mhm.
So it is what it is. You
Mhm,
can't say
mhm.
you should only be talking to, unless you get to a stage where you're really exclusive. But don't be talking to a married man thinking he's going to leave his wife for you, or don't be talking to someone who's like, I'm still living with her, but we're in separate rooms. Um, so be clear: is this person really single?
Mm,
They're not married. They don't have a wife in another country, which happens a
that's
lot.
important. Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to ask, sorry, I want to ask about common fares, right? I know that a lot of people, especially women, well, I would say a lot, but some women fear having to get back in that dating pool after divorce. As you've stated, we're emotional creatures. We don't want to get hurt again. We are like, the late Dr. Miles Monroe stated, we are incubators. So we hold things in, right? What are some common fears you think people face when dating after divorce, and how can they overcome them?
So the first thing, again, to work on yourself and get therapy, because when you're healed, you have a certain confidence that
Mhm.
you'll be able to tell red flags and not just excuse them. Because if you used to excuse things in your past and excuse your ex, you don't want to be with the guy and say, "Oh, he lied yesterday, but it's okay. He said sorry." Or a guy has got anger issues, and then you say, "Oh, it's only today. I'm going to change him."
Mm,
So, when you've worked on yourself, you have confidence to be able to know what you want, what you like, and be able to say, this is not for me. But if you go into another relationship when you're still vulnerable and broken, you're just going to accept anything. So
yeah.
heal. And then the fears women have is he going to hurt me like my ex? If he
Mhm.
was an abuser, am I going to get married to an abuser again? Make sure you do your homework. Check. Go online, Google. Do they have any assault charges? Do they have what happened? When you ask what happened with your ex, Coach Ricardo said in one of my interviews, a guy who keeps talking about his ex is not really over her. So
Mm,
things like that. Just heal, be confident in yourself, listen to positive podcasts, listen to Coach Ricardo, build yourself in. That way you will get over fear. I'm a Christian. I read the word. It gives me confidence. It gives me strength. Join women's groups. I'm a big advocate for that. You need a tribe. You need to
yeah.
have positive people around you to build you up. Because if you're alone and isolated and broken, chances are a guy is just going to find you and notice that you're easy prey.
Yes.
Especially for older women. If you're divorced, you might have had a property that was left to you, or you should be established. So some guys are just going to come to come to you as a come up. Be careful. Make sure, does this guy really love me for me, or he loves me for what he has? One of the ladies on my group today said, I'm no longer going to love with my wallet.
Mm.
Giver. So I would be like, oh yeah, let's go on vacation. I'll pay. Let's do this. Only to realize that a lot of guys she was dating loved her for what she had.
Money.
She was like,
Exactly.
my house is my house, my money is my money. It's not going to be involved in the next relationship. So it's so important that you find out, get to know the person. Do they love you for you or what you have? And do they want a roof over their head? I watched a TikTok video of a couple that were saying, oh, my wife got pregnant with someone else, but I'm going to stick by her. I'm a man. It could have been a joke. But one of the comments said, he needs a roof over his head. He's not going anywhere.
My goodness.
Oh,
Wow.
exactly. Because men usually bounce. But at that point, this guy was saying, I'm not going anywhere. And someone was like, he
Yeah.
needs a roof over his head. So does the man need a roof over his head? Is that why he wants to be with you? So just be cautious, just be careful, because dating in your 40s is not as easy, but um, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I have a
Mm.
friend who spoke today on my group who's happily married at 52, and she just had a big amazing wedding. Not that big amazing weddings make her relationships, but
Right.
she's really happy. She got a God-fearing man. They're now a blended family, but it's working for her, and she's
Mm-hmm.
like the poster girl for there's life and good marriage after divorce. So it's possible. We all still hoping and believing, but we will not be fooled again.
No. And I before we end, I want to know what are some advice that you can give to women out there who have divorced, and it's been a while, and they're interested or going back into that pool of dating,
Mhm,
but they still need that extra push. Like they still need someone to hold their hand and to say, okay, how do I do this? I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. What I know all of everything you said is actually advice for them, but
mhm,
just in a nutshell, if there's something that you haven't said before that you can say, go ahead and go back in there.
mhm.
This is what you should look out for. This is what you should do, etc. That you have not said before.
Okay. So one thing I did post divorce, I wrote a book. Well, it was during the divorce time, which is called I Am Who God Says I Am. And I had to find my identity again, because for the last 14 years, my identity was in Mrs. So and so. Everyone who knew me as his wife. So I had to find who am I outside of the marriage. So discover who you are. And when you know who you are, when you have confidence in who you are, you can just face the world. So find yourself, if you're a Christian, find yourself in the Word of God and get your confidence from the Word of God. Look good and just go out there. Someone will be out there waiting to meet you. A lot of people recently have gotten married through introductions. So I always encourage people, increase your circle. Don't just
Mhm.
hang around your mom, your brother, your sisters, and your work colleagues. That's such a small circle. The world is so, so big, so increase your circle. I always say my podcast is called My Tribe. And I'm
Yeah.
saying find your tribe, invest in your tribe, because once you find your tribe, the friend I was talking about got met this guy through the tribe. So if she didn't know me and I didn't know the guy, they wouldn't have met. But
Yeah.
increase your circle and be careful about increasing your circle as well, because not everybody is good for you. Some people
Absolutely.
show their toxicity after a while. So be careful. I'm just going to end by saying an avocado has three layers. It's got the outer shell, it's got the middle part, which is really big, and then it has the core. So
Hmm.
you have people in the outer circle, and then the inner part, which is so big. You can hang around a lot of people, no problem. Just talk
Hmm.
and keep the talk to a minimum. Have boundaries. The core is very small. The seed of the avocado,
Yeah.
that is your inner circle, the few people that you can tell about your business that they're not going to go and tell the whole world. So
Yeah.
find your tribe, have your outer circle, because you never know, someone in your outer circle will introduce you to the person that you're going to get married to. But also be careful and only share your intimate secrets or things that you struggle with in life on your core, which could be even five people or less.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that, Coach Mags. I mean, that's some really good, interesting points there. And just for me to just go back on everything that was discussed today, for those who are presently divorced and they want to go back into the circle, remember to get to know who you are first. Even after all of that, understand that you were not and this is something that they didn't share, but I think that this should be vitally just as important. You're not your mistakes. All right, don't
That's
don't
right.
blame yourself because of what was done. Things happen. Okay, if it was a mistake on your part, a mistake on his part, whatever the situation is, you are
That's right.
not that. You're not your past.
That is true.
So I had to share that. I had to share that. Especially if you are a believer, then you know that even after all of that, all things will work together for your good. That's what God says in His Word. Especially for those who believe and trust in Him and love Him. So if you know that He is directing and ordering your steps, you know that things are going to work out for your good no matter what. Yes, you've hurt. You know that person hurt you. You've been through a lot of trauma and all these other things. But please know that joy still comes in the morning. All right. Weeping may endure for a night, joy
That's
comes
right.
in the morning. That's also a promise for you that you have to put in that heart of yours. Guard your heart. And
Mhm.
Coach Ricardo alluded to this. Out of it flows the issues of life. So when you're out there in
Right.
the dating pool, don't just fall for any and everything. Another thing I wanted to share is pray for discernment.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's important. Pray for discernment because the devil also comes as an angel of light. All right. He comes as Mr. Prince Charming. He comes that he has, as Coach Mike says, everything is ticked off on this list, right? All together. And for goodness sake, don't tell him what your list is. Coach say Coach Mike said, yes, I shared my list and the individual was like, that's me, that's me. No, you don't, that's between you and the Father. You and God, y'all share that together and allow God to help you with that. And also be mindful that not everything that God gives us the desires of our heart. Don't get me wrong, but not everything that we think we want is what God has for us.
That's
That's
right.
also vitally important. Sometimes we miss out on quote unquote Boaz because we expect him to be 6 feet bright curly hair or 6 feet dark skin chocolate, with nice long locks. Okay.
That's
But he's coming as a short guy who loves the Lord and quite disciplined and financially secured and just need a woman by his side to help propel him to the next level of where God has taken him so that they can go in this journey together. All
that's right.
right. And I'm not saying that you have to quote unquote settle per se, because God knows everything. But don't put God in a box. All
That's
right. And be mindful of your time with the Holy Spirit, because and it's him who's actually going to teach you some things pertaining to your own self. You think you may know who you are, right? Because the heart is deceptive, very deceitful. All right.
mhm.
You think you may know who you are as an individual, but if you be still, he'll show you who you are. He'll show you the core, as Coach Mike said, that's this core. But your core, the core in you, there are some things, there are some what's the word I want? When you're using a coffee maker, you have a coffee and then you have like the filter. And then when you take the filter out, it's like dark and black or whatever have you. Sometimes God want to show you who you are, right?
Mhm.
And those very same mistakes that he was trying to show you from the get-go, but you allowed the cares of this world and the fact that you so in love or you so into yourself to drown out his voice, so you're not actually hearing what he's telling you about yourself. There are some things that you need to deal with and God wants to show you. All right. So another
Yes.
point is to be still. Allow him to speak to you. All right. Read his word, because that is the actual mirror right there.
Yeah.
His word, be in his word day and night. Meditate on it day and night so that you will be successful. You'll have great success, not only in who you are, but in the relationships that you are involved in. Okay. So these are some points that I wanted to throw in along with what Coach Ricardo stated and what Coach Mike say that, and I can tell you everything's gonna be all right. You're gonna find love again. For those who
That's
are despondent, you're gonna find love again. But most importantly, allow God to heal you. Allow God to heal you and allow Him, because He's placed people on this earth. He's placed doctors, He's placed therapists, He's placed coaches, He's placed so many people on this earth to help with the healing process. All right. So don't just be isolated or try to isolate yourself from what the environment that is needed most in the season of your life.
mhm.
So Coach Mike said go and find a therapist, go and find somebody who knows about these type of things so that you can actually be healed. Find a community, find a tribe, as Coach Mike says. So don't, once again, isolation is a serious thing. The enemy loves when you isolate yourself. When you isolate yourself, that's when he comes in with the darts. That's when he comes in with the lies. And that's when he says, I got you. Come, let me put this on you. And that's where depression comes in, low self esteem comes in, all these different things, these negative things come on you because you're not finding yourself around positive people. That's another
That's
thing. When you
that's
find your tribe, make sure it's positive. Make sure there's positive people around you who are going to uplift you, who are going to speak life into you, not bring you down. Who's going to say, girl, he must be just like so and so. Child, don't get involved with that. No. Okay. You want to find the right tribe, the positive tribe, the God fearing tribe who are going to lead you into what is right, what is pure, what is just, etc.
that's
And
right.
those are my points. I don't know, Coach Mike, you have any final remarks before we close out? You good?
Like I said, I my book, I Am Who God Says I Am, is about your identity in Christ
Yeah.
and finding. And what you just said, that was an excellent point about you are not your mistakes. So in there, I cover that you're loved by God, you're chosen by God, you're forgiven. So don't be carrying that guilt. Like there's a stigma with divorced people, like you're bad goods or something like
Yeah.
that, but you are not that. And I would like to give 10 books to 10 women that will write onto your show. I'll make sure I get them to them. I can send them to one person in the Bahamas, and then you can ship them out just to
I would love that.
encourage you that your identity is in Christ. You're loved by God, you're forgiven, you're chosen by God, and you're accepted by God. So that just, goes on to emphasize the point that you said. You are a beautiful woman. Somebody out there will appreciate you and treat you like the queen that you are. So don't settle for less. Don't just say, as long as he has two legs, as long as he's a man, they call him a man. No, set your standard. This is what I want, and
Yeah.
don't go for anything less, because God loves you. He died for you. He has a purpose for you as an
Yeah.
individual. Find who you are. Your purpose is not just being in somebody's wife or the mother of your children. God has a call for your life or a purpose for your life. Find what that is. I love the Miles Monroe. That's how I first fell in love with the Bahamas. And find your purpose as an individual
Yeah.
post divorce. Your purpose did not stop the day you got divorced. And be hopeful. God has that man for you, and you might be setting the bar too low, and that's why you keep seeing the wrong guys.
That's a good
Set your
one.
bar high and aim for that. Be in places where those kind of people hang out. Increase your tribe, and we'll be looking forward to coming to your wedding.
I love that. I love it. Thank you so much, Coach Mags. You've been a blessing to us. You have definitely added value to your Lane Talk Show, and I am grateful for you. May God continue to bless you and bless the work of your hands. May He continue to heal you even as you go through this process at the moment, even in this relationship. And I pray that He continue to expand your tribe, and may
It's
your
growing every
territory be
day.
enlarged in
It's
the name
growing
of
every
Jesus.
day.
And even
Amen.
in Coach Ricardo's absence, I want to thank him because he had another engagement. And so, Coach Ricardo, thank you so much for being a part of the show because I know he's going to listen in when he comes back in the replay. And thank you for also adding value. Thank you for introducing me to Coach Max because she coming back. We can make sure she's invited next year, God's willing,
I'd love
to
to
be a
come
part
back.
of the show. Yeah. And so we're going to close out. Thank you, Coach Max, once again. We're going to close out for today and next week. Hopefully, we're going to have in studio Uncle Randy, founder of Adventure Learning Center, because there's so much we want to talk about with Adventure Learning Center. They have so much things going on for the holidays that I want to ensure that we get everything out from Uncle Randy. And for those who don't know who he is, Adventure Learning Center is that's off Marshall Road. He's the founder of Adventure Learning Center on Marshall Road. So you're going to get to hear about, where when he first started it, what inspired him to a whole farm. What is really the purpose of this farm, and why is he still moving ahead? And of course, we'll also include, where the finances and all these other things are coming from, to feed the animals and have these various events that he has on the premises. All right. So if today's conversation on dating after divorce has resonated with you, I want to invite you to take the next step in your journey with Your Lane Life Coaching. And as a Christian life and marriage coach, I specialize in helping individuals navigate life's transitions with clarity, purpose, and faith. And whether you're seeking guidance to heal after divorce, rediscovering yourself, or preparing for a healthy, God centered relationship, I'm here to walk alongside you. Don't let fear or uncertainty hold you back. Let's work together to create the life and love story God has planned for you. You can go and visit my website at www.yourlanelifecoaching.com, or you can give me a call at 1-242-376-8689 to book your session today. It's time to step into your lane and embrace your next chapter with confidence. Thank you to Your Lane sponsors. We have the Perfume Bar, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Airwick, distributed by Thompson Trading, and Dario Eric's Productions. Get ready for a cinematic thrill, a night of short films by Dario Eric's Productions, featuring 3 mesmerizing short films: Deranged, The Inheritance, and What's in Your Hands, at the Atlantis Theater, Paradise Island. It's going to be held on Saturday, December 7th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now for $40 each. Get yours at Moncur Fashion, Carmichael Road, opposite Scotiabank, or All Seasons Book and Gift Center, Palmdale Shopping Plaza. The dress code is smart casual. The show is rated B, and for inquiries, you can give them a call at 436-6405. That's 436-6405. You don't want to miss this unforgettable cinematic experience. Now, if you just gotten a divorce this year, we want the first person to text or WhatsApp 376-8689, 376-8689. If you've recently divorced, the ticket to attend Dario Eric's A Night of Short Films for December 7th will be yours. Just text I am recently divorced, and the ticket is yours. To the businesses out there, if you wish to sponsor Your Lane Talk Show, please give us a call at 376-8689. We have some awesome packages to suit your budget. So I want to thank my producer Beats for always holding it down. To Your Lane's continued life listening audience and first time listening audience, thank you so much for tuning in today. Please follow the page for Your Lane Life Coaching on Facebook, or go to Coach Trish Hanna on YouTube for all of the updates and goodies for the show. Our previous shows are right there and available for you, and you can watch it whenever you desire. I pray that you were all empowered, educated, and encouraged today. So until next time, have a blessed Sunday. Bye-bye.